the Phillies just kind of woke up last night and decided they were going to turn back the clock 3 or 4 years and sign everybody who was somewhat halfway decent back then.
Go back to bed, Phillies. You're drunk.
Let's just recap the names. Today it was Neil Walker, the second baseman who mostly played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, to a big league camp invite, I believe that's what it is. And then 3 pitchers were Francisco Liriano, Drew Storen, and who was the third guy? And Bud Norris, right? The left-handed pitcher who once pitched a no-hitter and was once rumored to be a Philly way back when on the trade market. So to kind of sum it all up and maybe also talk about the Nolan Arenado situation, we bring in our 97.3 ESPN's own Frank Klose, covers the Phillies for 97.3 ESPN, does a great job, and he joins us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. What's going on, Frank?
What's up, guys?
So where do you want to start? This rash of really significant impact signings that the Phillies have made over the last 24 hours?
Well, I just knew this moment was going to come. The Phillies seem like they're done signing major league free agents. And then you have the next tier of guys that, probably some of them will make the major leagues that aren't going to get a major league deal. So I kind of expected the Phillies to grab a whole bunch of them. I really wouldn't be shocked if the Phillies didn't add a couple more on similar deals, maybe some starting pitchers that haven't landed with anybody. But, if you're the Phillies and you're really up against that luxury tax limit, it seems like they want to try to get some value out of some low-cost items, and that seems to be what they're doing right now.
Well, let's talk about the 3 pitchers, because obviously the bullpen was an issue last year, but I think people would argue that the bullpen broke down because they brought in some older guys, and here you go, Drew Storen, Liriano. I mean, they've had success before, Bud Norris, but these are not spring chickens.
Yeah, of the 3, I think Francisco Liriano has the best chance to stick. It's funny, I was actually tweeting about him last summer. I went to a game in Pittsburgh and watched him pitch, and I thought, this guy would make some sense for the Phillies. He did stay with Pittsburgh the whole time, really reinvented his career as a reliever, and I think he's somebody that could be good for the Phillies. Now, in terms of Norris, it's really funny. I forgot that they were interested in him. They did not want to trade Aaron Altair at the time. I think that's what I think that's what the thing that leaked out from the Astros was. But Norris and Storen, I think they're kind of shots in the dark, and I think Phillies are willing to open up a major league, camp invite to them. And both those guys didn't pitch last year really. Storen pitched 9 minor league games for the Royals and got released, and last year, Norris had signed a minor league deal with the Washington Nationals, and they voided it because it was clear that his health wasn't going to let him pitch that year. So they're just kind of shots in the dark. So I think Liriano could be something for the Phillies and could be a veteran option there. But the others are just, hey, maybe they'll work out.
Now, 2 of these 3 guys are lefties, right? Norris is a left-hander, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I thought he was a righty.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong about that. I could be getting him confused with a different Bud. But I was just wondering, do you feel that Liriano has a good chance? No, you're right. Norris is a righty. But is Liriano the best chance because he's left-handed or just simply because his resume lately probably speaks better than the other 2?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of his resume. The Phillies had Jose Alvarez pitch very, very well last year, and the reason why they had some stability had a lot to do with Alvarez. And let's not forget, Adam Morgan was good before he got hurt, but you always want to have extra arms around. You can never have enough arms, and if 3 of them are left-handed and they're all pitching well, that's better than what they've had in the
past. Right.
Frank, are you confident in the Phillies and just their overall plan? I mean, I've asked you this before in the past, so I figured I'd bring it back up. Just there's been a lot of questions, obviously, especially after that the press conference that was heard around Philadelphia. Are you confident that they have a plan in place moving forward, whether it's starting pitching and bullpen? You see the bullpen moves now over the past 24 hours.
I'm shocked you asked me. Usually you sit quiet while Mike and Jeff ask all the questions, Ryan.
I know.
We tied him up and threw him in the closet.
Mike stepped
he can't
out.
Get out.
No, but seriously, the one thing that they're doing that I'm just not sure of is they seem to once again be trying to get something out of Vince Velasquez and Nick Pivetta, and I think that at this point it's not out of the realm of the possibility that either player will step up and have a good season, but the Phillies are supposed to be done taking taking risks like this. They're supposed to be in a period of certainty. You traded some great prospects for JT Realmuto. You spent all that money on Bryce Harper. Now you've signed Zach Wheeler. You should be at the point where you have some more certainty going on. Now, it's very, very possible that either player does step up. Maybe one of them's got to be in the bullpen, and maybe one of them will work out as a reliever. But the other is going to be in the starting rotation, and that was a problem in the past. And then you got to wonder, well, if, let's say, one of them is a decent reliever, you don't want to mess with your bullpen, and if one doesn't work out in rotation, well, then what? They have a really good pitching prospect in Spencer Howard, but he might not be ready right away. So I think that there still needs to be some sort of starting pitcher from a veteran presence standpoint that could be a AAA and come up. But usually, one thing about this offseason is people all of a sudden have decided that relying excessively on bullpens is not a good plan. That the teams in the World Series won because they had strong starting pitching. And that led to a lot of people upping the ante for what they're going to pay for a starting pitcher. So as the pendulum swings back to starting pitchers, there just weren't a lot of options out there last year. And although a lot of people thought at the time that they spent too much on Zach Wheeler, a lot of people now believe that was a very good deal.
Right. It's just when I look at the past three off seasons, you see the Phillies spending straight cash homie. I mean, $100 million for three straight off seasons, $135 million in 2017 with Santana and Arrieta, $403 obviously with Harper, McCutchen, and Robertson, and now $132 million so far for Zach Wheeler and Didi. So you look at all of the money that this team has dropped, and you're still kind of looking at the roster from top to bottom, like, okay.
I don't know if it's that bad. I mean, they have a lot of good players. I think what happened was clearly they failed at developing talent. I mean, Aaron Nola is the only real player the draft gave the Phillies in recent memory, and Rhys Hoskins, still has some work to do to get straight. But there's really has not been a lot to show for the farm system, or a lot of the players from the trades have not worked out yet. I mean, Nick Williams is still hanging around. You're wondering what he's going to be doing. But some of these guys were supposed to be better prospects, and they did not pan out. So I think the problem is they're not developing enough talent, and that's really what put them in this bind. I mean, ideally, if you did a rebuild like that, you'd have some more players that you can put on a roster, and they'd be your key pieces than we're seeing from this Phillies team right now. And because they haven't had those, they've had to go and spend the money. I mean, really, for all they talked about all the arms that they were accumulating, the young arms, not many of them made much of their careers so far. I mean, the Ben Liveleys of the world are long gone. And again, we're still talking about the Eflin, Pivetta, and Velasquez trio that you're still waiting for one of them to really get it. So I think that's the biggest story to take out of this is they've had to spend money because they haven't developed a lot of these players themselves.
Talking with Frank Klose, our 97.3 ESPN Phillies insider. Frank, I'm trying to read the tea leaves a little bit on the Neil Walker signing. Obviously, they lost Cesar Hernandez. It looks like Scott Kingery is going to play a lot of second base. Are they trying to improve depth at a position in which they've lost somebody who's been a starter there?
Yeah, I think, Scott Kingery is the starting third baseman as of right now.
True.
Alec Boehm is going to be a ways away. He could come by this season. Maybe by June you could see Alec Boehm if he gets off to a hot start at AAA. So Neil Walker is actually somebody I thought the Phillies should target in this offseason. And the fact that they got him at a minor league deal is kind of a bonus because they don't have to commit to him. They also have Josh Harrison, but really the backup infielders they don't really have a Scott Kingery now to be sort of a utility guy to fill those roles. So they need one, probably two backup infielders that are probably going to come from these minor league signings. So Neil Walker's got a good shot. Josh Harrison has a good shot. The fact that both of them can play some outfield is helpful to them. The fact that they're both right-handed is helpful to them since Phillies have a ton of left-handed outfielders on their roster. And so I think Walker's great because he's a switch hitter. If you're going to get a 26 man, you want to get the most versatile player that you possibly can. and Walker hits from both sides of the plate, and he can play second, he can play third, he can play first, you can throw him in the outfield, and that's what the teams the last couple of years have done with him. So you kind of want that. You kind of want somebody who can sort of be what your Scott Kingery was, at least to a certain extent, and it helps that he's a veteran with a lot of experience, and he's always kind of been in that high 200s range with his batting average. Never the type to be an all-star, but the fans absolutely loved him back in Pittsburgh because he was a model of consistency there. So always hit you like between 15 and 23 home runs or so when he started. Now he's not going to start, but he's somebody that you're going to get at least a professional at bat from him. So I think his chances of making the club are pretty decent.
All right, that's our Frank Klose from 97.3 ESPN. He has a story up right now on the on the Phillies' recent signings. You can go ahead and go read it at 97.3 ESPN. Thanks for joining us, Frank. Talk to you later.
Good talk to you guys.
Thanks, Frank.
We'll talk to you when they trade for Nolan Arenado. Oh, wait. I'm not sure that's going to be happening.